I'm here to proclaim today that what Ronald Reagan built will not be allowed to be torn down by Nancy Pelosi. That's what I'm here for today. Our nation's not great. Our nation's not great because of the size of our government, but because of the vision and the values of the people that live in America. And we will not relinquish our nation's moral authority to please those leftist elitists that live in those ivory tower institutions. But I also tell my folks back home that it's vital. It's vital that the health of our nation, for the health of our nation, that California maintains a strong economy. We want California to be successful. California is too important to the future of this country. It's important to our national economy. We cannot let this state become bankrupt. And liberal political philosophy of the Democrat Party cannot be allowed to dominate the direction of this state. You've heard from 3 states tonight. You've heard from 3 states, California, Florida, and Texas. We happen to represent collectively 26% of the gross domestic product of this country. If these 3 states were their own country, they would be the 3rd largest economy in the world, larger than China, larger than Germany. And I say this to underscore the fact and the importance of having Republican leadership at all levels of government in these large, important states. They're the engines that drive the economy of America. Stand on principle, Steve. We got to stand up day in and day out and talk to the American people, talk to the people of California about our principles and what we believe in. And this fight must be more than just against the classic tax and spend agenda that the left has always championed. Our fight runs much deeper than that. Our opponents believe that big government is the answer because they have little faith in self-governance. Their philosophy says that government should do what a man can't or won't do for himself. At its heart, liberalism doesn't flow from compassion, but from cynicism. See, theirs is an agenda of arrogance. When they lose at the ballots box, they complain that they failed to get their message out. I think they have the opposite problem. They aren't listening to the message that Americans are telling them. That's the reason they lose elections. You know, I asked somebody, I said, whatever happened to reasoned discourse? I mean, what's wrong with our children in schools being exposed to different cultures and different faith traditions? What's wrong with that? You know, if they're so proud of their secular humanism and its worldview, why won't they allow the simple-minded views of the uneducated masses to be lined up next to their philosophy of self and all of its wisdom and just let the people decide? Why won't they do that? You know, the fact of the matter is almost every day there is another scientist that leaves the global warming bandwagon. But, you know, the fact is you won't read it in the mass media out there because they've already invested in one side of that story. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be good stewards of our environment. We should. I'm just saying that when politics hijacks science, it quells true scientific debate, and you can have dire consequences for the future of this country and for this world. The reason we lost our majority in Congress is not because of our ideas were lost upon the American people or that our ideas have lost their luster. It's because our leaders lost their way. That's why we lost. When Republicans morph into these big spending, favor trading politicians, voters will just go back to voting for the party that they know wrote the book on how to do that, and that's the Democrats. That's what they did. You know, it is sad It is a sad state of affairs when liberals campaign like Republicans to get elected and Republicans govern like liberals to be loved. That's a bad day. We need to hold the line. We need to hold the line on what it means to be a Republican, being conservative. If you see a candidate who wants to tax like a Democrat, regulate like a Democrat, educate like a Democrat, they should not have the honor of having the name Republican bestowed upon them. Stop them. Crystal clear about my message today. I believe that any company that is doing business directly or indirectly with Iran might as well be selling arms to those terrorists that are trying to kill our soldiers in Iraq today. Pick a side. Who are you going to be for? The message needs to be very clear to those companies. There are no half measures here. There is no room to parse your words. Either you do business with our enemies or you don't. Pick a side. You put a nuclear bomb in the hands of one Middle East maniac, and it could be the destruction of millions of people living in Israel. So we're going to stand. We're going to stand with our friends in Israel. That's what friends do. They stand up for one another. Israel has stood with us for decades in the face of tyranny, and we must stand with them today by pressuring Iran and the other agents of destruction in the Middle East. That is the type of noble behavior in what the Republican Party has been all about. We are the party that believes in freedom. We are the party that believes in life. We are the party that believes in fiscal responsibility. We are the party that believes in moral values. And despite what you may have read in the news here lately, I assure you that we are still the party of family values, not the party of scandal. Our party stands for freedom. Freedom to take risk and to enjoy the rewards of those risks. Our party stands for the right to mention the name of God in a public setting without the fear of reprisal. Our party stands for the right to life for the most vulnerable amongst us, the unborn. The left says, trust government. Trust government because the people don't know better. Republicans say, trust the people and the government will work better. The other side's going to launch slash and burn campaigns against our candidates. We need to take our message to the people. We need to talk about our bedrock Republican principles of cutting taxes, of reducing spending, of reforming government. And while those on the left are going to demagogue and divide, Republicans need to unite behind our candidates with a positive message of freedom and responsibility and opportunity. If you need only one thing to get you out of bed every morning next year, make it this one. Let's make sure that Nancy Pelosi is just an asterisk in the history books of this country. And if you need a little bit more motivation, if you need just a little bit more motivation to keep up the fight over the next 14 months, hang your hat on this one. We must move heaven and earth to make sure that there is never another Clinton back in the White House.